Yo, did you hear about this? The biggest, baddest, most worded out icon of the 90s, Duke Nukem. But we aren't just talking about the glory days of 1996, when Duke Nukem 3D was king of the hill, making Doom look like a Sunday school picnic. No, we're diving into the dumpster fire that followed. We're talking about the 14-year coma known as Duke Nukem Forever, and the man who's currently keeping the king locked in a basement covered in literal and figurative grease. Randy Pitchford. Duke didn't just die. He was murdered by incompetence and then stuffed into a locker by Gearbox Software. While the boomer shooter renaissance is out here giving us gems like Dusk and Ion Fury, Duke, the literal father of the genre's personality, is nowhere to be found. Why? Because Gearbox is terrified of a character with a spine, and Randy is too busy doing bad magic tricks and losing thumb drives in medieval times. Bathrooms. It's time to get brutal. It's time to talk about why Duke is being held hostage and why the current gaming industry is too soft to handle the king's return. See, back in the day, Duke was the man. If you had a PC, you had Duke. He was the guy who brought attitude to a genre that was mostly just nameless space marines running around brown corridors. But today, he's a punchline. He's a meme, and not even a good one. He's the I'm all out of gum guy who hasn't had a relevant game in decades. We're going to peel back the layers of the greasy onion and find out how one of the most bankable stars in gaming history became a digital pariah. We're talking 14 years of coming soon that turned into Nevermind.
All aboard the Midtown Express to hell.
Let's rewind to 96. Duke Nukem 3D wasn't just a game, it was a vibe. It was the first time a first-person shooter felt like a place. You could go to the movies, visit a gentleman's club, use the bathroom, and look at yourself in the mirror.
Stop eyeballing me.
It was interactive, it was crude, but it was glorious. Duke himself was a Frankenstein's monster of every action hero we loved. Schwarzenegger's build, Stallone's grit, and Roddy Piper's mouth. The build engine was the secret sauce. Created by Ken Silverman, it allowed for a sector-over-sector, tricks that made levels feel vertical and real. You weren't just shooting sprites, you were blowing up buildings, shrinking enemies and stepping on them, or freezing and shattering the pig cops. It was the peak of 2.5D gaming. 3D Realms had the world by the tail. They had the humor, the tech, and the charisma. But then the ego took over. George Broussard and 3D Realms decided they didn't just want a sequel, they wanted the perfect game. They switched engines more times than a budget used car lot. In 97, they started with the Quake 2 engine. It looked sick. Then Unreal came out and George saw the multicolored lighting and lost his mind. He threw away years of work to switch to the Unreal Engine. Then a newer version of Unreal came out and they did it again. That's not artistic vision, bros. That's just bad management. You can't build a house if you keep tearing down the foundation every time a neighbor buys a nicer mailbox. By 2001, the game was already becoming a myth, a legend. The when it's done trademark became a death knell. The team was small, the ambition was bloated, and the king was starting to look old before he even stepped back onto the stage. They were chasing technological parity, while the soul of the game was being sucked out through a straw.
I love the smell of sewers in the morning.
By the time 2011 rolled around, the joke wasn't funny anymore. 3D Realms went bust, and in stepped Randy Pitchford and Gearbox. Randy marketed himself as the savior, the fanboy who worked on the original and was going to bring Duke home. He stood on stages, did his little card tricks, and promised us the world. He bought the IP from the dying embers of 3D Realms, claiming he was the only one who could finish the fight. What we got was Duke Nukem Forever 2011. And man, it was a stitched-together corpse of a game that felt like it belonged in 2004. It was a Frankenstein's monster of outdated design choices. 2-weapon limit? Duke used to carry an entire armory in his back pocket. Are you kidding me? Regenerating health? Duke doesn't hide behind a crate to wait for his ouchies to go away. He eats a whole turkey he found in a trash can and keeps blasting. The gameplay was sluggish. The physics puzzles were tedious, and the jokes, man, The jokes were the worst part. They felt like they were written by a middle schooler who just discovered what a boob was and thought saying poop was the height of wit. It lacked a clever, self-aware parody of the original and replaced it with mean-spirited, lazy crassness. It was like watching your cool uncle try to use Gen Z slang and failing miserably. It was a disaster, but instead of saying, yeah, we fumbled, let's fix the character, Gearbox just let him rot. They let him rot! They treated the failure of DNF as proof that Duke doesn't work anymore. No, bro, bad games don't work anymore. They used Duke as a skin for Bulletstorm, which was a slap in the face, and called it a day. They treated him like a mascot for a brand they didn't understand, like putting a Slayer t-shirt on a guy who only listens to elevator music.
It's gear stripping time.
Now we get into the real legal gymnastics. The stuff that proves this is more than just a bad game, it's a hostage situation. Most people think the drama ended when Duke Nukem Forever launched. Wrong! That was just the opening bell for a decade of courtroom brawls that would make a divorce lawyer sweat. In 2013, 3D Realms, operating as Gearbox Software, sued Gearbox. They claimed Randy and his crew were withholding over $2 million in royalties and refused to let them audit the books. Gearbox fired back with a statement that was basically a middle finger, calling 3D Realms failed developers and saying that they were the ones who actually saved the franchise. In a move that screams greasy backroom pressure, 3D Realms suddenly dropped the suit and issued a public apology. You don't just drop a $2 million claim and say, I'm sorry, unless someone held a legal thermal detonator to your career. But it gets even scummier. In 2014, a Danish developer called Interceptor Entertainment, who had bought 3D Realms, tried to actually do something with the King. They announced Duke Nukem Mass Destruction, a top-down isometric action RPG. It looks sick, but Randy wasn't having it. Gearbox slapped him with a federal lawsuit before the first trailer could even cool down. They claimed that they were the full and rightful owner of the IP and that 3D Realms had no right to license it. The result? Mass Destruction was gutted. It was rebranded into a game called Bombshell, stripped of every Duke reference, and it bombed. Gearbox didn't even want a good Duke game. They wanted to make sure nobody else could make one. And don't even get me started on the 2019 lawsuit from Bobby Prince, the legendary composer of the original Duke theme. He sued Gearbox because they used his music in the World Tour remaster without even paying him a dime. Randy allegedly told Bobby he'd take care of it and then went radio silent. If you won't even pay the guy who wrote the theme song, you don't care about the legacy. You only care about the control.
This one's explosive.
Making bacon.
Now, we gotta get real about the man holding the keys. Randy Pitchford. The guy is so greasy he could slide through a keyhole without touching the sides. This is a man whose reputation in the industry is about as solid as a wet paper bag. Let's look at the track record. This is the man who allegedly siphoned money from Aliens Colonial Marines, a game that was a total train wreck and a betrayal of one of the coolest sci-fi franchises ever to fund Borderlands. He allegedly lied to Sega, lied to the fans, and then had the gall to act like the victim when the game came out looking like a PS2 tech demo. The vertical slice shown at E3 was a complete fabrication, and Randy was the one holding the microphone. This is the man who gets into Twitter beefs with random teenagers because his feelings are more fragile than a glass ornament. He's the CEO of a major company, yet he spends his time defending his magic and vision to people who just want a game that works. And let's not forget the infamous Lost Thumb Drive story. Randy doesn't want Duke Nukem to be Duke Nukem. He wants Duke to be safe for the modern corporate environment while still trying to sell the edgy 90s brand to suckers like us. You can't have both. Randy is a corporate suit masquerading as a cool gamer, and that's why the king is in chains.
Now I'm really pissed off.
When the 2001 build leaked in 2022, we didn't just get a glimpse of a game, we got a glimpse of a future that was stolen from us fans. This version, running on a heavily modified Unreal 1 engine, was doing things that were light years ahead of the competition. Let's talk about the dynamic weather and lighting. In 2001, this build had a system where clouds could roll in over the Las Vegas Strip. The sky would darken and the lighting in the room would shift in real time. We're talking about interactive environments that put the 2011 version to absolute shame. Almost every object had a physics property. You could pick up a fire extinguisher, spray the foam to create a smoke screen to hide from enemies, and then bash their heads in with the empty tank. There was a motorcycle chase through the desert that featured destructible terrain and enemy AI that would try to ram you off the road. But the real kicker, the NPC interaction system. The NPCs didn't just stand there with a question mark over their heads. They reacted to Duke's presence. They'd comment on your gear, they'd power if you started shooting, and they'd actually help you in combat if you played your cards right. George Broussard traded all this for better shadows.
Babes, bullets, bombs. Damn, I love this job.
The gaming industry in 2026 is playing it safe. And I get it. Safe makes money. Live service games, battle passes, sequel number 9 with a slightly shinier coat of paint. Nobody gets fired for making something boring. You ship something bland, it underperforms, you blame the market, you keep your job. That's the ecosystem we're living in right now, and it has calcified everything. But here's the problem. Duke Nukem isn't a safe IP. He never was. He was built specifically to be the thing that made your mom uncomfortable. And the second you try to sand that down into something a boardroom can approve, you don't have Duke Nukem anymore. You have a guy in a leather jacket who used to be cool. You have the Halloween costume version of a legend. You've got the shape of the thing with none of the soul inside it. That's worse than nothing. That's an insult wrapped in a product. The irony is brutal and it is loud. The boomer shooter market is exploding right now. People are literally paying for games that look like 1997 on purpose. Turbo Overkill, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, Medieval. These are not nostalgic flukes. These are proof that the appetite for exactly what Duke represents has never been higher. The hunger is real and it is growing. And the one guy who actually invented that attitude, who laid the blueprint that every single one of those games is standing on, is sitting in a filing cabinet at Gearbox collecting dust. That's not a culture problem. That's not a society problem. That's a management problem. That's a Randy problem. One man, one IP, one massive missed opportunity rotting on the vine while the rest of the industry quietly eats Duke's lunch.
Last stop, total destruction.
Right now, the corporate suits say Duke can't work today. That is a massive load of alien shit. If you think Duke is outdated, you aren't paying attention to the icons who survived the culture shift. Look at the Doomslayer. He didn't apologize. He didn't get a sensitive backstory. He just got louder, faster, and more violent, and fans loved it. Look at Kratos from God of War. He's still a brutal engine of destruction. They just reframed his rage. Or look at Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat. He's still a narcissistic, roided out parody of a 90s action star. And that's one of the most beloved characters in the franchise of MK. The reason why they work? Self-aware parody. Duke Nukem was never meant to be taken 100% seriously. He was mocking over-the-top masculinity as much as he was embodying it. He was a parody of the concept of an action hero. Satire ages like a fine wine, while sincerity ages like milk. If you play Duke as a self-aware relic who knows he's a cartoon in a gritty world, he's more relevant now than he was in '96. Shoving him into a locker because he's problematic isn't progress. It's a lack of imagination. Duke isn't regression. He's the ultimate counterculture icon for a world that's forgotten how to take a joke.
I could do this all day.
Look at what New Blood Interactive did with Dusk. Two guys, basically, a game that looked like it was made in 1996, ran on a potato, and had more soul than anything Gearbox shipped within the last decade. It sold hundreds of thousands of copies because it was made by people who loved the thing they were making. You can feel that in every level, every weapon, every stupid and perfect secret. You can always feel that. The love is in the details, and Dusk was nothing but details. Ion Fury is the one that really stings though, because that game is functionally a Duke sequel. Same build engine, same flow, same DNA. Shelley Harrison is basically Duke's spiritual sister, and Voidpoint built the throne and left it empty because they didn't have the license. That game proved beyond any reasonable argument that the formula works, that the audience is there, that people will show up in serious numbers, and that you don't need a $200 million budget or a live service model or a battle pass. You need people who actually give a damn about what they're making. That's it. That's the whole equation. And right now, the people who give a damn don't have the keys, and the guy with the keys just doesn't give a damn. So what's the move? It's simple. It's obvious. It's the thing Randy refuses to do. License it out. Call New Blood. Call the new 3D Realms. Call Apogee. Call Voidpoint directly and just hand them the keys. Take your cut. Step back and let people who actually grew up with this game make the next one. You'd have something real on the shelves within 2 years. The community would go absolutely nuclear with excitement, and Duke would be relevant again for the first time since Clinton was in office. Instead, Randy would rather sit on the IP like a dragon on a pile of gold that he's never going to spend. Except the gold is rotting, and the dragon is doing card tricks at medieval times. It's not protection, it's just hoarding, and it's killing the king.
I'm not gonna fight you. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Here's what killed me. Duke Nukem isn't a hard problem to solve. This isn't some broken, unfixable franchise with toxic legacy baggage that nobody wants to touch. He's not problematic. He's a parody. The joke is literally built into the character. Every line he says is a wink. Every pose is a joke. The whole point is that he's too much. That is the bit. That is the product. There is no version of Duke Nukem that works if Duke is taking himself seriously. And there is no reason for any developer with actual taste to take Duke seriously either. You make it loud, you make it smart underneath the stupid, and you let John St. John do what only John St. John can do. The 2001 build showed us a team that understood that. They were building something massive and stupid and fun and ambitious all at the same time. They weren't ashamed of Duke. They were celebrating him. And yeah, maybe George Broussard chased too many shiny engines and ran the whole thing into the wall. That's real. That's documented. And that decision cost us something we'll never fully get back. But at least he loved what he was making. At least the passion was there even when the project management wasn't. What we have now is worse than an unfinished game. We have a finished excuse. Gearbox looked at the DNF disaster, a disaster that largely inherited, and decided that it was Duke's fault, that the character failed, that the king was dead. And so they locked the door, pocketed the key, and moved on to Borderlands and its sequels and its misfires. Duke became a tax write-off with a mohawk. Duke Nukem deserves one more shot, a real one, not a remaster with a new coat of paint slapped on the 2011 corpse, not a cameo in Borderlands 8, a full game. Built by people who grew up with Duke Nukem 3D on a family PC that their parents didn't know had the game on it, sneaking in playtime before dinner, showing it to your friend at a sleepover and watching their jaw drop at the shrink ray. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We all have that memory. That memory is worth something. That memory is worth fighting for. We, as fans, deserve better. We deserve the king. We deserve the 2001 vision brought to life with modern polish, in the hands of a studio that would treat it like the crown jewel that it is. And yeah, I'm fully aware of the restoration project, but that's fan-made. But until someone pries this IP out of the greasy grip of someone who'd rather hoard it than build it, Duke is going to stay in the basement while inferior clones take his throne, one Steam sale at a time. This is Ion Prime, and that's all I gotta say about that. A big thank you to you who stuck it out right to the end. This video took way longer than I thought it would have been, but hey, it shouldn't be that for the next video, which will be about the Postal series, so don't miss that one out. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, as we're trying very, very hard to reach that 5,000 subscriber mark before this year is out. I'll see you in the next one, and keep it stylish.